The apartheid in South Africa did not start until 1948. Prior to the beginning of apartheid, the South African government passed many acts which completely segregated the blacks from the whites. These acts banned colored people from voting. They also segregated education, medical care, beaches, and other public services, and provided black people with utilities inferior to those of whites. These acts would become more and more severe. Blacks were soon stripped of their South African citizenship. Then they were sent to one of 10 homelands where they would live for the rest of apartheid. The acts became even more strict. Now, the blacks would have to carry identification cards with them at all times. If they were caught without one, they would be punished. Throughout all of this chaos, blacks did in fact revolt. They protested on the streets every day. Not only did they protest, but they formed anti-apartheid organizations. Organizations such as the ANC, led by Nelson Mandela, and the PAC dedicated themselves to peaceful protest and passive resistance. Sometimes these protests got out of hand and became very violent. Many people were injured or killed for standing up for what they believed is right. The most disturbing thing of apartheid is that it was government-sponsored. The government was involved with and monitored everything that occurred. They made sure nobody said anything against them, and if they did, there would be consequences. The government was in such great control of its people that they banned all opposition parties and arrested those who still publicly opposed them. This is when the violence really rose. This violence indicated that South Africa was in need of a political change. In 1990, a man by the name of Nelson Mandela was released from jail. He had spent 27 years, more than a quarter of a century, in jail. After being released from jail, he made this speech about the future equality in South Africa and the end of apartheid.
Black and white, recognize that apartheid has no future. It has to be ended by our own decisive mass action in order to build peace and security. The mass campaigns of defiance and other actions of our organizations and people can only culminate in the establishment of democracy. I quote, "I have fought against white domination. And I have fought against black domination. I have cherished the idea of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunity. It is an ideal which I hope to live for and to achieve. But if needs be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die."
Soon after Nelson Mandela's release from prison, apartheid was dismantled. Blacks could now live life the way it should be lived, freely with the same opportunities as whites. A few years after apartheid was dismantled, the first full democratic election was held. Nelson Mandela won this election and would run the first full democracy. This was the political shift that South Africa needed. Today, South Africa still stands as a democracy. It is a country in which equality among the people is a priority, as it should be. Although South Africa strives for the maximum amount of equality, racial inequality and discrimination still exists. To talk about this issue further, David Gordon said the following about the relationship between blacks and whites in South Africa today. Racial identity and racial tension are a part of everyday life in South Africa, in sense similar to the U.S. Such racial identities and tensions are linked to apartheid and even South African history before apartheid. But they are also linked to ongoing inequalities and tensions in South African society. So yes, there are tensions in part left over from apartheid and in part created anew from ongoing inequalities as well as political campaigns. At the same time, people get on, they live together. There are now rich blacks and poor whites. People go to the same malls and restaurants and movies and have friendships across the color lines. This next video is of an apartheid victim. During the years of apartheid, her son was shot dead by a South African policeman. The pain of apartheid still sticks with her today. In the video, she will discuss and express how painful apartheid really was.
Pain is still there. I don't think it will be over. I don't know how it will be over, but there's this thing you can think when you think about somebody or somebody talks about him or so, and you are relating things that he was doing. You feel, I've got no peace with the person that did this.
As you can see, the apartheid in South Africa was very cruel and unjust. A person should not be judged by the color of their skin. The apartheid was a crime against humanity.